Hi everyone, Darren Hunter here, and I'm with Michael Sanz from Teams by Design. Welcome to the first episode of the Outsourced PM podcast show. And Michael, I'm really excited because outsourcing is something that's been going on for a very, very long time. And, we wanted to make this podcast series for people that are considering putting on virtual assistants or already doing it and want to get better at that. And I just wanted to throw into the ring, Michael, before we get going, because I want to talk about your story today. All right. And, for everyone out there, Michael ran a property management business in Melbourne for a number of years, built it up to 650 properties, and he had 1.5 staff on the ground, which means he had several VAs also taking up, the rest of the task set. But Michael, you've been doing, running virtual assistants, and what a lot of people don't realize is that the amount of work that you put into Teams by Design. I mean, you've got a big virtual assistant team right now working in offices. And how long have you been running Teams by Design for?
That goes back to about 2018 now. So it's been going for a while and love it. I mean, you've met so many of them. Love them.
What people don't realize is that, of course, with Inspire Growth Training, we've got a massive team behind us. We've got video editors, we've got graphic artists, we've got social media people, we've got virtual assistants, we've got executive assistants. But that's all the backbone of Teams by Design. That's where all these people come from. Plus, Michael, you've got virtual assistants trained in property management, working in property management offices right now.
Yeah, so I mean, it's been a really good story to kind of get to where we are for Teams by Design now. As you know, like I moved on from property management 2018 so I could focus on outsourcing and the team in the Philippines. And it's amazing the tasks and the skills and the people that you can actually find out there that work from home. Not in the same country, but they work from home, and it's just amazing. We've got like you said, video editors, social media managers, we've got application processors, we have accountants, bookkeepers, all these things put together make up a really well-run property management company.
They do, and you do it brilliantly. I mean, you're an absolute expert when it comes to running virtual assistants. And so I really wanted to talk today about this story. And I've already spoken with you. We've got to be really, really careful because, look, Michael, you really are the Steve Jobs and the Elon Musk in property management. So the way that you run things is not necessarily the norm. But what I want to do is draw out your outsourcing story. But before I get into it, I just want to add in my own outsourcing story. And I've been a property management trainer and consultant now since 2005. And in about 2007, I run into problems. I was outsourcing my bookkeeping work. And because I wasn't going to employ a full-time bookkeeper, of course, and I needed about 10 hours of work done a month. I ended up getting a guy who was a bookkeeper in Victoria, and he was charging me $77 an hour. So I was paying $770 a month, which back then in my business was a lot of money. And he was generally good at what he did. I spoke to him on the phone when I needed to. He had access into, back then, my QuickBooks and all of those sort of things. And I did run into problems with him after a period of time. And in the end, we parted company. But I'd heard that you could actually outsource staff to the Philippines. So, and outsource your bookkeeping. So I got onto back then, which was Odesk. And I employed a bookkeeper there. Her name was Mylene, and she was good. And she really opened my eyes. She was doing the same job that this other guy did at like 10 or 20% of the cost. It really opened up my eyes. Oh my goodness, I don't have to be employing, in this case, expensive Australians. I could get the same job done at a much less cost. In fact, it was done more effectively. Now, over time, she ended up moving on, working full-time for another client, ended up with another virtual assistant. But that was my journey. And it really opened my eyes. Now, since then, when it comes to assistant work, getting office tasks done, getting administration tasks done, getting bookkeeping done, getting graphic artwork, everything now is completely done offshore using virtual assistants. So, Michael, let's just start getting into your story. And I said, I just wanted to be careful, everyone. We don't want to get into too much technicality because the way Michael worked was completely revolutionary. And I don't want to freak out people too much with the detail you got into. But let's just start, going into your time. And you said that in around about in 2005, you were involved with real estate investment, but in about 2009, you got involved starting your own real estate business. So tell me about your journey, about discovering outsourcing for property management. Let's just go back to those times and why didn't you just go to getting staff off the street like everyone else?
I think it should also be said to start, when I was very young, I looked up to real estate agents driving flashy cars and going on all these holidays. And I looked up to them going, wow, that looks like it's going to be a really good career. And then I started back in about 2003 in property management in a leasing capacity with no computer. And it was very task-based, mundane. And, you take a $50 holding deposit, give keys out. I'll get $5 for every property that I rented. And it didn't match what I had in mind of being in real estate, being able to have fun, time off. It was very limited. And I guess early on, I kind of struggled with that concept of that, well, there's got to be a better way to kind of do these tasks. Moving up, through the ranks in property management and then, starting up a property investment company. I guess being a business owner, I was acceptant of the fact that I could fail and I could make mistakes, but there wasn't going to be the end of the business that I did. I was just prepared to see what worked and what didn't. So, going on from between 2005, 2007, I did start to look at outsourcing certain tasks for the jobs that I had, basic things like graphic marketing, creating logos, doing websites for other businesses, just specific task-based. And I guess, I kind of neglected, yes, I deal with the Philippines now exclusively for a number of reasons, but I kind of neglected them early on, thinking I was looking for the cheapest option out there to do the task that I wanted. And, it meant I got burnt several times. There were communication issues. And I looked at countries like India, Eastern Europe, Western Europe, Mexico. I know Mexico's come a long way. Different regions for doing different tasks. And I realized too, there were other areas that focused on, I found Eastern Europe was good at graphics, right? So I would give people in Eastern Europe more graphic work. I found things that were more database driven, India, right? Because it was transactional, give them a project and that was ad hoc. And then around 2007, 2008, I remember reading Tim Ferriss, The 4-Hour Workweek. And it just like all sunk in with me. I resonated. I was taking notes. Like I don't really read many books. Well, I do now, but back then it was struggle time. And I was taking notes, reading a book. He did this, he did that. He had someone managing his diary. Someone was taking his phone calls. And, ironically, I was reading this on a beach in Thailand at the time. And I was saying, this should be, I shouldn't just have to focus on like a 4-week a year or a 1-week holiday, going away. There's got to be a way that I could have more time and freedom and flexibility in what I did. And anyway, so I started the real estate business on my own again in 2009. That was daunting in itself. I didn't have any clients, so I didn't have any need for staff. There was nothing to be done. It was only as I started to gain a little bit of momentum with the business that I then started to give some people ad hoc tasks, things that I needed done. And then it was around 2013, 2014 that I actually had a full-time person in the Philippines that I've been working with through, I think it was Freelancer at the time. Now, we're going back in time, right? There's Upwork, Odesk, Freelancer. There's Fiverr now. Like there's all these platforms out there that you can use. And I guess my mistake at the time was thinking that one person could be the silver bullet and do every task really well. I mean, not even having someone in the office can do every task you've got really well. They excel at some things, but other things, aren't their strong points. But still, when I started off hiring the VA, it was great. Like that person had been with me up until 2021. They only just finished up this year, right? So that was a long journey with them. But they did grunt work for me, Darren. They would do lease preparation. They would do the advertising, putting it onto the portals, making sure that the application, the basic stuff for the applications were being done, looking at any arrears, focusing on that. It was very general at the time. Was I good at it back then? No, but I was okay knowing that I was going to make mistakes, right? Like things could be fixed. And fast forward now, we've got almost 100 people on our team.
Let's just go back a bit here because I want people to follow along where we're going with this. You wanted to explore or break the traditional model and the traditional mindset, which is you need jobs done, you've got to employ in the local area someone to work in your office, and you questioned that, right? And so you looked at and you didn't have a lot to lose, so I'm going to start throwing stuff at this and work out what works, what doesn't, what can I try and break and see if it actually breaks. And so through that and through your epiphany of reading The 4-Hour Workweek by Tim Ferriss, which is a great book, by the way, and recommend for people to listen to that or read that. But you worked out that there was certain tasks that didn't actually have to be done by someone in the office. And I think where we're going with this is you mentioned the word grunt work. And for people listening, this is all about taking all of that grunt work that your expensive and team is doing in the office and getting someone else to do it that can do it at this just as good as you or better for a much more cost-effective price. And so this is what you were trying to do is what can I actually outsource that I can get it done more effectively than what I can with my team and get it done more cost effective as well. So by throwing that, you worked out that outsourcing, and particularly to the Philippines, was the right way to go. And can we just go back, because you did talk about that you then going, all right, so I know I can throw tasks and get task grunt work, administration, or even basic assistant tasks done by outsource. So I'm just going to go and explore other countries to do that with. But in around about 2013, you settled on the Philippines as being the go-to country. And you've given me there's 5 main reasons. Let's just quickly go through those. The 5 main reasons why you decided that the Philippines is the best country to outsource tasks to.
Yeah, and I guess, they all culminate into something that's really special. In the Philippines, like the number one value that they hold really high is their family, right? And so they do anything to be with their family. It's so important. Often families live together, generations, live under the one roof. Their culture there is so welcoming. It's inviting. They're so friendly. They go above and beyond to help anyone, just in their nature. For me, the time zone was perfect too. It was only, 2 hours or 3 hours with daylight savings.
It's the Perth time zone, isn't it?
Perth time zone, and so that was really flexible. Also knowing that a lot of people in the Philippines were working with US clients, and that's from almost their midnight until 9 a.m. working with an Australian client. It's during their daytime, so allowing them again to have that time with their family is really, really important. English, like majority of the country speak English, and they speak English really well. There is that stigma there. I mean, yeah, it's like in any country. Some people speak it better than others. But you know what you're looking for, and loyal, right? Like they know that you're basically family with them, right? If you've got someone working with you in the Philippines, you become their family. You become such an important part of their life, and they become such an important part of your life.
Yeah,
right? And these are the attributes you want. Like if they're speaking to your clients, if they're dealing with your staff, with yourself, You want someone who can communicate, who has all these attributes, exactly like you'd have someone in your office.
I found for me was they were very westernized, the Philippines. And so again, because of they're heavily influenced by the United States, which Australia is heavily influenced by the United States, it was a really good solution. And I think they just get us. They understand a lot of the way we talk, the way we think. And so there was a real closeness there where other countries, not necessarily so. And in general, the English is very good. I've found the loyalty is amazing where you get team members on the ground at an office. You know, you might get a lifespan of 1 or 2 years out of them. But with these team members here, if you look after them, they'll stay with you forever.
That's the other thing too, Darren. Like, as we know from working in offices for a number of years, there's a lot of sick days, a lot of holiday days, and it's really hard to kind of focus forward and plan your business out. Like when, you know, who's taking time off at Christmas time, who's taking time off in the middle of the year, and you're trying to structure that. And then there's sick days, and then there's also water cooler, you know, talk throughout the day. So when we're looking at efficiencies in the office and outside of the office, working with the Philippines, allowing them to work from home, like that was our setup, meant that there was minimal sick days. There was annual leave given when people wanted to go on holidays, but it wasn't at the detriment to the business either. Like it was done mutual times. And as a business owner, that allowed me to have flexibility. I mean, I would close down for 6 weeks over Christmas time. Right? Ooh, I'd go to a beach somewhere. I'd have family time. A lot of business owners look at that and go, you can't, how do you do that? But when you got that support infrastructure behind you and you communicate with your clients and you let them know what's happening, it's easy. You can do it.
I think let's just continue with this journey because this is really exciting. I get so excited with outsourcing because there's so much possible. But I guess you were looking at, all right, what can I actually outsource? And you looked at all the, let's just use the word, the grunt work, that administration work, that assistance work, all of those sort of things. You looked at those. You had to reinvent certain things. So, for example, the letting process, you know, showing people through, loading things to the internet, photos for people to look at, then booking in open inspections, visitor appointments, all of that traditional way that we, for example, let a property. And the letting procedure, by the way, of course, is the biggest procedure of all. All right, out of all the procedures we do, that's the most time-bound one. It takes, you know, anywhere between, you know, 10 to 15 hours sometimes to get a property rented with all the work. You looked at that and thought, if I'm going to be outsourcing a lot of these tasks, I've got to unlearn traditional ways. And you're one of the first people to do it right back in 2013, 2014 and 15. Michael, what did you do, for example, around the letting procedures?
Yeah, so we totally changed our entire process. So we made it compulsory for every property to have a virtual tour, so the 360 virtual tour. And we're not talking about COVID times. We're talking about, you know, early 2010s when I wanted to simplify the process and let people see the property before they got to the property. I acknowledge too that one of the roles of a leasing agent is to show people the property, get a tenant in there, the best tenant, the highest rent in the fastest possible time. I acknowledge that there's time spent going to the property, spending at the property, coming back from the property, uploading the property to the portals, you know, following up with the tenant inquiries, everything that goes with that. Implementing virtual tours and videos and updating the photos meant that every single person who wanted to look at our property could see the property. They didn't have to wait for a tenant to allow access to the property. So if a property gave notice today, I could show the property today. I could get an application today. What that meant was, Darren, that I could go home and I can get an application in the morning from someone that's seen the property. The VA could pick up the application, process the application. I could have it all processed, you know, faster than what I could have if I had to physically show the property. I'm not saying you don't physically show the property anymore, but what it meant was that anyone who came and saw the property were not time wasters, right? They weren't going there saying, oh, the photos don't match the description. They were like, yep, fine, fridge will fit here. You know, it made it easy. And then, Darren, we went that one bit further when we started doing augmented reality, where we could show people where their furniture would go inside the property without them having to put their furniture in there.
Yep. So let's just move on with this, because this is really exciting. Again, everyone, this is all about how Michael outsourced all of that grunt work, that administration work, assistant work, and got it done far more effectively and more cost efficiently than he could get it done in the office. So, all right, so you had to unlearn and break down traditional ways of doing things, which you did, and you're a real pioneer around walkthrough inspections, because back then in 2014, 2015, you would have looked like a freak, because everyone was still doing really crappy photos, 2 or 3 or 4 photos done on a phone. And of course, through COVID, everyone now realizes the benefit of virtual inspections, but that was what you did to pioneer this. So, okay, so that was just one example of several that you had to pull apart the way that you do things, re-examine it, put it back together. You did a lot of trial and error, and you were actually able to successfully outsource 26 core property management tasks. Now, we're not going to go into all of them right now. We will be doing that in our next podcast show. But what were some of the big ones that you were successfully able to outsource? What are some of the real big tasks that, for example, that a lot of your clients are now successfully outsourcing? What are they?
Maintenance comes to mind, the top of the mind straight away. There's this, I don't know, Darren, why do fresh property managers, people fresh in the industry, think that they know how to detect maintenance in a property any better than someone else who doesn't have much more experience than them somewhere else around the world? Early on, we were able to work out that if we provided videos and FAQs to work out what maintenance is what and how we would resolve that, it meant that a VA could help troubleshoot. The pilot light's not on, the power's gone off, the tap's dripping. Didn't have to be someone in the office, Darren, picking up the phone, taking that question. So we automated the maintenance process. Even like when Property Tree and that came out, we were using RP Office at the previously. People could log maintenance, right? They could go, if they rang the office, we'd have them email it through. Our team picked that up. They got it to a point of resolution. And if it needed a tradesperson or if it needed an urgent repair, they knew the process to follow. It's not, there's nothing special that somebody else can do physically in the office unless they had to go out to the property and see it. Darren, I'm not an electrician. I'm not a plumber. I'm not going to go out to the property and change the washer. I'm not going to replace a hot water service, but I do have qualified tradespeople that I trust, and they're well priced, and they do the work really, really well. Darren, if that instruction came from me or someone in my team, what does it matter?
No, good point. Good point. Now, let's just move on with this. You also mastered application processing as well. Now, there's a lot of people, application processing can only be done by staff on the ground, but that's actually one of the major services that you're providing right now. But tell us about, in a nutshell, how you successfully outsourced to your team with your VAs to do application processing.
So we had scoring metrics, around income serviceability. We had, pet policies. Every single thing that you would look on an application form, ID collection, payslip collection, referencing. So calling up the agencies, calling up the personal references, calling up employment references. Didn't have to be done by us, but we did have to train to listen to pregnant pauses. The gaps in between the conversation of a reference to see if it was any good or not. We had, that process was basically all outsourced. Now, applications have come a long way, Darren. Now, there are applications out there where someone applies for a property and the privacy pages get sent out to an agency for them to complete and send back. Even still, now we see the issue with the lag time of the property manager responding to that request. So even now with our clients, we're able to send off those privacy pages, call the property management company and ask those questions of them so we can get the applications done faster. Granted, sometimes you're stuck waiting for people to respond back or take the call, such as with any office. But it just meant that I didn't have to waste my time doing it, or staff didn't have to waste that time.
Let's just stop there, because there's a big problem out there, Michael, with teams, and they're just too busy, caught up in the mundane, doing the grunt work, and not able to grow. That's a big problem out there. So with your team and what you did in your business, how much time did you save staff on the ground with maintenance tasks and application processing tasks, how many hours in a week over your 650 properties did you save by giving that to a virtual assistant, that work, and training them to do it effectively? How much time, any hours did you not have to give to your team in the office to do those things? How many hours did you save?
A week? It'd be over 100 hours a week.
100 hours a week.
Over 100 hours a week, because you need more physical people there. You know, Darren, I hear from a lot of staff members that kind of say, I can do this faster myself, or I can do this. That's not the point. The point is that in the office, we shouldn't be caught up with the mundane, repetitious grunt work tasks. Yes, it might take someone 30 minutes to do something, and it might take someone who has never been in real estate before 35 minutes, maybe 40 minutes. That's not the point. The point is that we should be servicing our customers, right? And that's what we had to review. It's like, yes, it might take someone a little bit longer to start with, but like anyone learning a new task, they become familiar with it, and then speed, efficiency, accuracy isn't an issue. But not having to do that task in the office anymore meant that we could spend time doing customer service.
So let's just talk about that. And you identified 26 tasks that could be successfully outsourced to virtual assistants that could do it more effectively, more cost efficient than your team members. You just obviously didn't want your team members burdened with the grunt work. So just for a list of those tasks, we actually do have those tasks available to you. Just go to teamsbydesigntasks.com. That's teamsbydesigntasks.com and get a list of those 26 different things that can be ultimately outsourced, and so your people on the ground don't need to be doing them. And I think this is great because this stuff really frees up a busy team getting caught up too much in the day-to-day, you know, that hamster wheel, not getting high value, dollar productive growth activities that really matter and grow the business. So let's keep on moving on with this. So, all right. So now we've identified a good portion of property management tasks that can be outsourced. Let's now go to the tasks that can be only done on the ground. And so you also re-looked at that model, and you re-looked at, because you're getting so much of the processing and the process work and the checklist work and all of that done by virtual assistants, you now could employ a different type of person. So with the people on the ground, what was your focus now?
Well, I think then and now with modern technology too, where people would have to go out, where agents would go out to a property to inspect something, the tenants are now in this modern era now, they're able to help by doing video, photos, rather than having someone go out and attend the property. The virtual assistant can now actually do the triage on a lot of these things that required someone physically going out there. So less staff time going out. It's also around like routine inspections. You know, now we have applications there where you can dictate in to a lot of things. There are platforms out there where, again, the tenants help with the inspections. So your VA can actually finish the reports, do the reports, the walkthrough reports with your tenants, minimizing more time on the road.
Okay, so let's also, you wanted a person that was customer focused. And so you felt that getting your experienced property manager perhaps wasn't the way to go. And you wanted a person that was going to excel in customer service. Tell us about that.
Yeah, so we would recruit based on certain attributes. Okay, so real estate experience wasn't preferred, but it wasn't essential. Especially for, we had a part-time person. Typically that role was high customer service focused. They often were younger people and from supermarket background, right? Like you want like McDonald's or supermarket people, places where there is some type of structure there, and they're just happy people. No negative traits from other real estate officers. They don't have 10 years in the industry where they're, they know all the problems that have accumulated. We wanted someone that kind of looked at it from a different angle. Same with property managers too, because we had a lot of these tasks which previously only property managers could really handle. That was all being done by the team as it was. So the main focus was someone who could communicate, love the clients, be there, take the calls as they came in, do no reason calls and so on. If anything, now on reflection, Darren, knowing what I know now, I would have had more just customer service people, right? Like not property managers, just people out there taking clients out for coffee and lunches and building relationships that way. Like that, if I was to do it differently, like I would have more customer service focused people.
I think there's no secret. You were running an operation which is so non-traditional, and it's, the dynamics, you just couldn't recognize it as a normal property management business, but yet you had so many raving fans. So the proof was in the pudding. You're working with VAs, you're working with people on the ground who were focused on customer service instead of property management, mundane grunt work. Tell us about the end result. Tell us about your customer service levels. Tell us about the results that you were seeing from you running this model.
Well, the results that I saw personally meant that I could go and travel with family, right? So everything that I put in place meant that I could have that lifestyle that I wanted, right? That's the end result for me, right? Having that lifestyle there and having a business that was running itself. Customer service wise, people, I appreciate that if people are calling an agency, they want to get a response right away. Otherwise, they're going to call another agency. And there's always somebody else, some other agent in someone's ear, why they should be changing managers and go for someone else. We didn't want to give people that opportunity. I mean, sure, we lost properties, people sold, people moved in. But the more we could, service the client meant that we had a better retention rate, not losing clients.
Yeah. Yeah. Okay. So let's start wrapping this up because, and the end of the story, of course, you ended up selling your rent roll, and now you're working full time with Teams by Design, and of course with Inspired Growth Training as well. You are heading up and running two businesses. Let's just go to if people are now listening, whether they're considering about taking on a VA or they've already got a VA, they want to be doing better, anything like that, they want to be out there. The whole message to this episode is all about not getting your team on the ground doing the grunt work, freeing up their time, making them unbusy so they can be focused on high productive, high value growth activities that are going to strengthen and grow your business. So, Michael, what's the best way that people can get in contact with you?
Well, number of ways. You can either go to the website, teamsbydesign.com.au, teamsbydesign.com.
.com, yeah, it's a .com.
And just request to contact us. Or you can email hello@teamsbydesign.com and one of our team will come back to you right away.
Yeah, I think this is exciting because it is very much, so many business owners is out there are struggling with their team, just caught up being too busy, not doing the high value tasks. This outsourcing is a great solution to that, to get other people at a much effective way and low cost to get the grunt work done. So, and all that, admin work. So well done, Michael. It's been a real pleasure, really inspired about your knowledge and your expertise in the outsourcing space. It's been a great episode.
Thanks, Darren. Happy to help. And remember, just be prepared to fail to succeed, right? Make mistakes. Allow that to happen.
Do something
new.
Yeah. Well done. Thank you. See you, everybody.
Bye.